Go Mustang, the Coach Alexander Show, brought to you by Kim Assad.
Hello, Mustang Nation. Matt Carnes, Grapevine Booster here for week 11 of the Coach Mike Alexander Show with your head coach of the Grapevine Mustangs, Mike Alexander. And Coach, we got one more week. We've got at least one more to come. So congratulations on the big win last night. It was Thursday Night Lights down in Midlothian. So before we get into a lot of the details, just give us the high-level thoughts coming off a big playoff win.
Well, man, so proud of our kids. You know, they showed last night that they're not finished yet. And this time of year, you know, you're only promised the one that you have in your hand, and you got to go earn anything else. And they did. They earned one more week, get to play together, and I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it, that this time of year, the teams that care about each other and enjoy playing together have a greater chance to keep playing. And because if they really do care about each other, they'll find a way to win. And you know, our kids, you could tell by how we started that game last night, they weren't finished playing. They really wanted an extra week, and they want to leave a legacy that's, you know, that's beyond what was given to them. And we talked about that a lot, you know, this week, and how the teams before them, Team 98, Team 97, had passed it down in really good shape, and Team 99 wants to hand it over to Team 100 better than they found it. So here we are. We're looking at an area round game this week, and I know our kids will have a great week of practice and be ready to go.
Well, you talked about the teamwork and the flow, and you talked about game flow. You kicked the ball off to start the game, and just as you would have probably hoped and scripted, the defense did what the defense does, and they quickly got the stop, brought their punter out, and got the ball back in good field position. Yeah,
so, man, you know, the week of practice we had was a lot of focus on moving our defense around a little bit and not just sitting in one look and letting their offensive staff look and see how we're going to line up and call a good play. You know, that was kind of what Crowley's offensive plan has been all year. They're a big check with me mode team, and they're gonna look at your defense, and the quarterback's gonna look back to the sideline, and then if they like the play, they'll run it. If not, they'll change it. You know, it's not rocket science, but we felt like going in, we wanted to give them different looks, and it worked out like we had hoped, and we had a good plan defensively, and it really threw them off balance early, and you could tell. I think we, you know, probably started the game with maybe three and outs in a row, I believe, and, you know, just really set the tone defensively during that first half.
Well, the newspaper articles were obviously very complimentary of the game itself, but when they go to start picking the player of the game, offensively they pick K. Rhodes as player of the game, even though Jack Ertz could have been mentioned there. But defensively, they just said, the whole defense gets it. Yeah. It was just a whole defensive effort. You had some huge hits from Cameron. You had some just huge plays. The defensive line was incredible, but even the newspapers know just and just rewarded the whole defense collectively as a unit.
Yeah, nothing can make my heart happier as a defensive coach than for you know, the general spectator or newspaper reporter or whatever to look at a defense and say, well, there wasn't one standout. You know, it was 11 guys playing in unison and doing their job, and you know, walking off that field last night, we didn't play as well as we wanted to in the second half. You know, I don't think that's a big secret. You can look at the score in the second half, and we didn't score many points, and we gave up a couple late. But when I got back to the field house and we turned that video on, and I watched our kids just fly around and play with there's such aggression and physicality. You know, it just makes me so proud to be their coach. Not because of the 9-2 record, but because of how they do it. You know, they do it together. You know, I mean, heck, we don't have the biggest guys on defense, but we got guys that'll battle you, and man, I'm proud of them.
Well, you should be. It was a flow, and the day started off with Breakfast of Champions. Keith Davis came in, and just like last year, just gave an incredible speech. But his theme this year was "Get It Back," and he talked at length about get it back, and I'm telling you, that defense looked like they took that message to heart, and they went, and when they had a chance to get it back, they got it back.
Well, there's no doubt. And, you know, like I said, they're not, I don't think we're finished getting better. You know, I look at, especially in our defensive backfield, we continue to improve week by week. And it's not just one player. I mean, it's, you know, we regularly rotate, you know, 4 different corners and 4 to 5 different defensive linemen, and we're gaining some depth at linebacker. And so, you know, it's we got to keep playing, you know, because who knows how good this team can be in a couple weeks, you know, and that's what we're shooting for.
Well, you got at least the one more, but let's just talk a little bit of the high-level offensive stuff here. And before I forget, Men of Mustangs, if you're not coming to Breakfast of Champions, it's worth it. Get there. We'll do it again this week. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But offensively, you had some big highlights. Cade Rhodes, 25 of 33. He had 442 yards. Could have had more, as you mentioned, had a couple of drops, 3 touchdowns. He obviously watches the show because you said last week that you didn't like the interception part. So he didn't throw any interceptions. So, Cade, good job watching the show. But, you had 7 receivers last night. Jack Ertz was over 35% of the offense just with his 5 catches and almost 180 yards. He had a great night. David, of course, did what David does. Max Cagill in the newspaper got some credit for what Seth accomplished. Yeah. But let's talk about the offense, and then we'll go look at some highlights.
Yeah, so, I mean, what can you say about it? You know, Cade just, once again, just continues to improve. And you know, the 442 yards were, you know, that's a huge feat. So much of that is yards after the catch, you know.
It was last night, for sure.
And, you know, but when you're the field general and you have such great weapons around you, your job is just to get them the ball and let them do the work, you know. And what Cade did really, really well last night was he didn't make mistakes. He made the right reads. He gave the guys catchable balls. You know, even, you know, David had 10 for 81, and he had 2 pass interference. You know, he drew 2 pass interference penalties that could have easily put him up there, you know, around, you know, 140 or so as well. So, I mean, Cade's just doing what he needs to do. You know, he's not forcing balls where they don't need to be, and I'm just really, really proud of his development over the course of the season.
Well, it was a fun game on both sides. Let's go to some highlights here, and we'll start with defense and just talk us through these.
Well, you know, we knew that number 7, their big running back, was going to be a key to their, you know, their success if they were going to move the football. And Coach Antle devised a game plan that was going to get a lot of people to the ball. And then we knew in the passing game one of the big strengths was the sprint out pass that Cameron Hamway kept getting really big hits on. But as you can tell from the highlights, I mean, you know, I listened to him earlier today, and I mean, you know, Reagan Ratcliffe's doing the commentating, and he just, every play it's like, you know, 6 or 7 Mustangs on the tackle, and that was the big hit by Cameron. Boy, you could hear that across the stadium when it happened. That was a big one. So proud of this play right here. Deep ball against a very talented receiver. You know, we got 2 guys at the point of attack breaking it up. That really set the tone for the game, because that was early on in the second quarter when the game was still in question. And then you can just tell right here, just 5, 6 guys, you know, around the football every snap. And our guys, you can tell defensively, they don't care who gets the credit. They just want to run and hit and get a lot of hats to the football. Played with great leverage last night, you know. One thing that Crowley's done a good job of this year is getting out on the perimeter against people, and our guys kept them bottled up most of the night, and just, I mean, nothing. It wasn't anything real fancy, or it was just guys lining up well and playing good defense. This is late in the game. That was you know, sometimes you need a little luck too. Late in the game, the quarterback wasn't ready, and Dafer was Johnny on the spot with the defensive turnover there. First play of the game, we went to Seth. We came, you know, didn't connect. Came back to it, you know, later in the quarter. That's what we expected to happen the first play. Big play down the right hash there on a post route, and then David Clayton getting in the trips formation, and that's one of those things where so many options down around the red zone. You put 3 receivers to the side, and we look at the defense and put Caden in a good play, and it's always good throwing the ball to David in the corner of the end zone.
Yeah, he was so wide open too.
So this was a nice play call by Coach Smith and the staff. It was a 3rd down, and they bring a little pressure, and we get Roshan out on the edge on a screen pass, and his guys did a great job blocking linemen and receivers there, and then just too much cushion. We give a little play action fake, and then hitting Jack. I think most of Jack's catches were on the same play action fake there, and then there's Austin getting the end zone, short yardage offense, and David looked fast last night. He looked fresh, looked like he was not finished playing. Looks like he's ready for the playoffs to get started. And then Seth, he showed that he's not only fast, but he's a strong receiver. Broke some tackles here, and almost got loose for 6. Also in the red zone, this is Vergara. He's a handful down there because everybody knows he runs a fantastic out route. Everybody knows that he's got the length to stretch you vertically, and then when you add in the slant in there, it's really tough to cover. This is a big play. This is right before half, and I told Coach Smith before we go out, I said, look, we got 21-0. We got the ball to start the second half. Let's be smart. And we ran the football, and they didn't really adjust a whole lot, so we felt like we had Jack. It's a pretty safe throw, and then here we go. 2 plays later, we're sticking the end zone, go up 4 scores right there before half. That was huge right there. That was it's a lot different scenario when you go into halftime up 27 as opposed to up 21. Then come out and start the second half.
Here we go again.
Yeah, I mean, no different. Little play action fake. I hate it for Jack. See, obviously he got in on the touchdown right there that he didn't get credit for. But a couple plays later, we're able to stick it in spite of all that. Good for Roshan. He does a lot of dirty work, gets a lot of tough yards throughout the game, and so I was happy he was able to get rewarded, get a touchdown there. And then beautiful thing about the playoffs is when you can get a lead on somebody, you can finish it out with your younger kids. That's Tejado's a freshman, getting the carry there to finish the game out, and then we were able to play all of our JV receivers in the game last night. Had them moved up. We were able to play a lot of younger kids on the defense. So that's a beautiful thing about when you can take care of business like we were able to last night. That's how your program continues to grow, because your younger kids get that playoff, not just game time experience, but playoff experience. So that's the seniors of Team 99 leaving a legacy right there too.
Well, the legacy continues. This is going to be Thanksgiving week coming up, so the kids are out of school. Going to be a little bit different. We got Whataburger bringing breakfast. Thank you, Whataburger, bringing breakfast for the players on Wednesday morning. We'll come back with Breakfast of Champions, of course, Friday morning before we all head out to Sweetwater. But we got Friday night, 7 o'clock, Sweetwater against Amarillo Caprock. Tell us what we're looking for in this one.
I don't know a whole lot about Caprock right now. We traded some video with them this morning. We'll spend the afternoon looking at it, and obviously into the weekend. Here's what we do know. They were district champions, and that says a lot. They played in a tough district where a lot of good teams beat up on each other. They had one district loss, and that was to Abilene Cooper, who, oddly enough, I think ended up 3rd or 4th in that district. So, they had a lot of teams with 1 or 2 losses in their district, and they're the ones that emerged to be the champions. So they obviously have some fight to them. They're obviously going to be a formidable opponent. Other than that, I don't know specifics about who their better players are, either offensively or defensively. We'll get into that video this weekend and get a good plan. But you know, at this point, everybody's going to be good. You know, I mean, it's second round of the Texas high school playoffs. There's no weak sisters. You know, it's
Not anymore.
You gotta come to play every week, and that's what we're going to plan to do.
Well, and tell us about this stadium we're going to. I guess it's a West Texas icon.
Yeah, it kind of is. You know, so I spent 4 good years out in Abilene, coaching Abilene High, and Sweetwater was just right down the road. And you know, I always heard about the Mustang Bowl, and actually, you know, there were times when we'd go watch a playoff game or two, you know, there, and it is a little bit iconic. You know, it's a complete bowl. It's all concrete. You're completely, you know, surrounded by stadium, and sits way down. You know, the stands are up elevated, the press box elevated, and you know, it's not a new stadium by any stretch. So it's going to kind of have a vintage feel to it. But there's going to be red Mustangs painted in the end zone, and it is the Mustang Bowl, so we should feel right at home.
Especially after we travel again.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're used to the travel by now.
We are a traveling team. Well, we will see you there. Men, don't forget, Breakfast of Champions, Friday morning, starts at 7:15. Try to get there by 7. Bring something for the coach and the players. If you're not there, you're missing out. It's worth every bit of energy it takes to get there that early in the morning. So that's Friday morning, 7:15. Then 7 o'clock, Sweetwater at the Mustang Bowl. We'll see you there. It's only a 3-hour drive. We can make that, so let's go support our Mustangs. In the meantime, have a happy Thanksgiving. And we will see you next week for Coach Week, for Fred Ertz, Mark Assad, and everybody's part of this one. We'll see you next week.
Go Mustang! The Coach Alexander Show, brought to you by Kim Assad.